Everyone can hear me okay, yeah? Great, so pleasure to be here. My talk is going to be about Tellurium, but this proxy can be applied or used for the other critical byproducts. And I would like to also point out that Brian McNulty is a collaborator, so some of the results going to be published in Economic Geology later in months. So when it comes to the solar energy, or renewable energy, when we look at the International Energy Agency reports, they pointed that the solar PV, all of the solar panel technology, they're going to be contribute about 80% of the new power capacity by 2030, and the solar PV is going to be accounting for half of that. And when it comes to the solar energy value chain, the first thing is the sunshine. So fun facts, we have over 2 billion years of that, so that's more than enough for generation after generation. The next thing would be feedstock, so the raw materials. So for the cadmium telluride technology, so one of the key components is the tellurium. And the majority of this tellurium right now is coming from the copper industry, so it's the byproduct, the anode slime, so it's the kind of leftover after electrowinning. And that kind of questioned the whole supply chain for tellurium. So what's going to happen if this, for example, the copper industry gets disrupted by many factors? And when it comes to the telluriums or all of these byproducts, on your right hand, you will see the wheel of metals. So you see the primary metals in gray colors. And right now, as I pointed out, the over 75% of tellurium is coming from copper industry. So that shows for a lot of these critical byproducts, we're getting it from the primary industry. And also we have the issues of the declining ore grades for all of these primary metals, including copper concentrate. So it was from 25% down to around 0.5. And another thing that I was curious to know, I'm a metallurgist by trade, but over last years, since last year I moved to more economic geology side of things. And of course, I'm really interested to know the state of the US mining industry. So when I was looking at some of these public available data, so one of the things that I came across is the productivity growth. So that's pretty much like shows, yeah, let me read it. That's just something that I also recently come up to. So the labor productivity growth refers to the increase in the amount of the goods and service produced per hour of work. So it's one of the key drivers of economic growth, and it's allowing the economy to produce more with the same or less labor input, which can lead to the higher living standard. And for the year of the 23 to 24, the productivity fell in 4 of the 5 mining industry, especially for metal ore mining, which is the industry that include the extraction of the metals like primary gold, silver, iron, copper, and lead, and zinc. And when we look at this one, the connection between these numbers shows when their numbers reducing, we have over 10% for the last year, so that's going to decrease the overall primary production. So that's going to directly and indirectly affect the tellurium industry. And also the higher cost is going to drive up the prices for American manufacturers like as First Solar, that's the customers for this tellurium. And this is going to kind of push both industry and the government to seek the immediate measures like what we have right now. So the global tellurium supply chain, as I said, 90% is coming from the refining of the anode slime. So these numbers are from the USGS. So the number in the bracket are in the 2018, and the The other one is the 2020-24, so you see it's almost triples within these few years. And the China is the dominant one, and also when it comes to the consumer, is the solar companies, per se, like First Solar. So when you look at the annual report of the First Solar, for example, how much they produce in solar modules, that's about roughly 14 to 15 gigawatt. And we have let's say, if we choose 75 tons per gigawatt, we need the tellurium per gigawatt of this production. So that's going to be roughly around 1,000 tons of the tellurium. So one single company is actually can consume the whole global supply chain of this product. So the project is mainly focusing on the low-hanging fruit of the existing low-hanging fruit from the existing mine site, like a focus on the base and precious metals within North America, like US and Canada. So the goal is mainly to understand how we can help to increase the sustainability of this supply chain and also secure the supply of this critical commodity. So the way that we did is the kind of building a proxy. So we now down to 92 active mine sites across US and Canada for both base and precious metals. And we found the tellurium proxy grades for 61 mine sites. And then we calculated this contained tellurium proxy based on the grade of this whole rock geochem, and also the annual reports where you can find the current mineral resources and reserves for each mine for 2021 and 2023. And then in terms of the production, we assume if each mine site, based on the current mill production rate that they have, if they just recover 50% of that tellurium, content tellurium, how much they can produce. So this is kind of like based on the pre-competitive data, like an Australian one that they have it for some of the operations across the world. So you see the map of the 61 sites, mainly West Coast, some in Ontario, Quebec, and some in Arizona. And also when it comes to this summary of this estimated tellurium proxy, we see, I mean, there's a variation between different deposit types. Of course, the porphyry, because they are more or less very big in the size, and also the concentration, even though it's not that high compared to the other deposit types. For example, in US, we have over 40,000 in 2021. And when we compare to the 2023, it's increased. I'm happy to share this data later on. And when it comes to the tellurium flows, based on the mineralogy or based on the processing part, you have a kind of favorable and favorable way of extracting the tellurium. So when it comes to the precious metal, for example, if you roast it, you lose your tellurium. It goes to the atmosphere. So the number here, I'm not going in details, but shows that in some cases, for example, when the green cell shows that we had an increase between 2021 to 2023, so that was a more or less either the reserve or resource has changed, and also when it comes to decrease, it was either closed or they decreased. And of course, this process is not foolproof, but to give you examples, so when we look at the value of the proxy production for Bingham, that was about 24 ton per year for 2021. And as we all know, Rio Tinto, around 2022, they produced roughly 20. So our proxy is kind of shows that we have this capacity to show for each mine site how much potentially you can produce tellurium and help to the sustainable supply chain of tellurium. And that's pretty much a forecast for me. And so this kind of shows or demonstrates as an industry we can produce tellurium here in USA. And so that's something that we can be proud of it, and we can extend this proxy beyond tellurium, so we can use it for gallium, bismuth, moly, and so many others. So to summarize, I hope that I demonstrate our proxy kind of shows the hidden or unrealized supply chain of the tellurium. And of course, to facilitate the domestic mineral production, we need the more funding from the government and also collaboration between the universities and the industry. Characterization is the key, so of course we need the upstream analysis for understanding the, for example, mineral deportment of the tellurium, for the tellurium, and also downstream more or less for the processing of this concentrate or any of the stream that you have. With that, yes, I'm happy. Oh, okay, the last slide wasn't, okay, yeah. So yeah, thank you.